Okay, good morning, everyone. So I'll go back a bit and I'll revise so that we are all on the same page again. So we're looking at this kingdom Animalia, which is more of a complex multicellular eukaryote type of organism, and where we had said that there are total 9 phylums, including Porifera and Coelenterata. That's what we had seen. Coelenterata was also called as Cnidaria. Specifically, the kingdom Porifera was made up of the sponge-like category of animals, which were completely non-motile, and that is when like they look like a stable body of like they look like a stable what we say plant-like structure, but they are not because they have eukaryotic animals, and porous body is the typical characteristics with all of this. Yes, Ishan.
So, what do these animals eat?
What do these animals eat? They eat all the small creatures.
Even fishes, like small fishes.
I doubt fishes, but then the algae or the what we call as bacteria and stuff like that.
Hmm.
All the smaller creatures. Yeah, so that is sponges. Then the next category is the Coelenterata, or the phylum is Coelenterata. It's also called Cnidaria. Specific differentiation into two ends, that is head and tail kind of arrangement, and they are hollow bellied organisms. So inside them they have a hollow cavity, and the common example of this Cnidaria is the jellyfish or the corals that you know, and the sea anemone and hydra. These are the two additional examples. Okay, so now we will start with the new phylum that is called as phylum Platyhelminthes. Helminths actually usually refers to like a kind of a worm, and platy is like a flat. So these are all flat worms. Uh, the common example you would know of for sure is the tapeworm, so that it becomes easier to describe the characteristics. Yeah, there are various types of tapeworms. So dorsoventrally flattened body. Dorsoventrally means dorsal is backside, ventral is the front side. So any organism you look at, their back is called as dorsal side, their front is called as the ventral side. Now in case of like a dog, the upper part will be the dorsal side, that is the backbone side, and the lower belly part is the ventral side. So that way the just the dorsoventral arrangement of the body, and this dorsoventral arrangement is present with most of the organisms. You name any organism or animal category, they will have this dorsoventral arrangement. So these specific category of the flatworms, they have dorsoventrally flattened body. When that means from both sides, from the dorsal side as well as ventral side, they have flat body, and they have bilateral symmetry. There are various types of symmetry. One of them being bilateral. That means if you cut the organism from the center to the end, it will split into two equal halves. That is bilateral. Like we as a human also have bilateral symmetry. Then complex and have differentiated body structures. So compared to the earlier two categories, that is it's not about the organ distribution, it's about the symmetry of the shape, only shape. So what was I saying? Yeah, so complex and they have differentiated body structure. Yeah, so compared to the earlier two categories like sponges and Cnidaria or Coelenterata, these organisms, flatworms, they have relatively well developed differentiated body structures. So if you see in these cases, you can see a kind of head-like portion, right? In all of these organisms, you can see a kind of head-like portion. So the tissues are differentiated from the three layers of the cells called as triploblastic. I don't know if we had this word earlier, diploblastic. No, Okay, so triploblastic refers to now during the organism's growth phase, it is like by the fusion of the male and female gamete that forms a zygote. This zygote will divide into several cells, forms a mass of cell, and these mass of cell will divide into three layers. That's what is called as germ layers. So even in case of human beings, we like whole of the body has been developed from the three germ layers, and that is what is called as triploblastic. In some of the cases, these organisms they are developed from only two germ layers, and they are called as diploblastic, that is di two, right? So this specific platyhelminthes is triploblastic. Like for example, again this earlier one Coelenterata, it is differentiated into only head and tail. So that is like complexity is very less. So these kind of organisms they are from diploblastic, that is two germ layers. While in case of platyhelminthes, it is triploblastic, that is three germ layers at the stage of embryonic development.
Rather monoblastic one.
I doubt, but yeah, it's quite possible. They would exist. Three germ layers formation during the embryonic development.
So each tissue has 3 layers.
Not each tissue has 3 layers. Like for example, like I said, the male gamete and female gamete will fuse. It becomes one single cell. That one cell divides two. Two will become four. Four will become eight, and so on. It will make a mass of 64 cells, right? 64 or 128 cells. They arrange themselves into different layers called as germ layers. Specifically, depending on two, they will be called diploblastic. If they are three, that will be called triploblastic. From these three layers, for example, the outermost layer, which is called as ectoderm, ECTODERM, that is not in your syllabus, as a just additional information. Ectoderm will form a skin-like layer. Endoderm, which is the innermost layer of the germ layer, will form bones and muscles. That way. So different layers will make different types of tissue
So you
in humans as well as in most of the organisms. Yeah.
I didn't understand.
What? That's what I said just now. You will stop writing the notes then in that case. So triploblastic is developed, like organism is developed from three germ layers, right? Germ layers are called so because they are at the stage of embryonic development, right? Embryonic development, from one cell, we develop a whole organism. So during a particular midpoint, there are three different layers of arrangement of the cell, and from each layer, different organs they develop. That is what is called as triploblast. And these organisms, they do not have a true internal cavity, which is called as coelom. Like if you remember in the earlier case, those were the hollow bellied organism. That is, they had internal cavity. But in this case of platyhelminthes, they do not have any internal cavity or any coelom. What is the name of that internal cavity? Is coelom.
So,
Yeah.
so does that mean their body is like fully organ packed?
Yeah, tissue packed.
Like there's no like space at all.
There will always be a little space, which is called, we call intercellular space, but that is not a cavity.
Basically, it means it's not hollow.
Yeah, exactly. It means it is not hollow. So these are either free living planaria or they are parasitic called liver flukes. Means depending on what kind of species we are talking of, they can be individually surviving on their own, or they can be parasitic in nature. Again, parasitic, that means they grow on someone else for, or they depend on someone else for the nutrition. And the common example is tapeworm. This is the typical example or typical picture of the tapeworm. May not be, this is, I feel this is kind of a little exaggerated, but the tapeworm infection is very common, especially in the intestine and also in the eyes. Sorry.
Where our liver
This one is the
flukes
tapeworm.
What?
Which one is the tapeworm?
First one.
there are liver flukes also in this category.
What happens with the
Yeah. It takes out nutrition, it causes inflammation of the intestine, and then you get acidity or ulcers.
You
kind
feel
of.
hungry, you feel hungry, like, you
You have to speak louder because of the mass.
do you feel hungry like when I take drugs, like you go rich and then
Why
you
tapeworm? Do you feel hungry? Do you feel hungry when you have infection?
no,
Simple.
for the same in defense I thought it was related to food.
Are these like leeches?
No,
Leeches?
these are very microscopic characters.
You take on a very simple cover though.
I will show you.
Can be
Wait.
both now, planaria and parasitic. I mean, free living and parasitic.
I will show you. I will show you. You will get the idea.
Don't you die if you get tapeworms?
Not really, but yeah, if it goes to the severe level, then yes, of course you will. It just,
And we are not the natural host of tapeworms, right?
we are not, but then because they are parasitic, they just take out the nutrition from the intestine. This is the intestinal inner lining, and you can see these tapeworms inside, right? You can see creepy ones as well, like something like this.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cute.
So there are quite a lot of these, and actually it can go to very bad level as well. Like I don't know. Yeah, you can see the intestinal lining is almost kind of. I hope this is the original picture and not the. But it can go to really bad extent.
How
Can it
does
rupture
these
the
get in your
intestine?
body? How can you avoid them?
So if you don't like notice it,
Huh?
if you don't notice it like early, then it might cause some trouble, right?
Yeah. So if you don't, if you don't notice them, they will of course become bigger and bigger, and they will interfere with the intestinal function. Like for example, in case of eye, I will show that to you. This will be very, but you can see
That
this.
is-
Yeah. So this is the eye infection with the tapeworm, and you can clearly see. So this will cause the blurred vision within an individual, and it depends on if it spreads more, it can even cause bursting of that tissue within the eyes and stuff like that.
It's
So
very disturbing photo.
don't.
I'd seen a video where they were taking it out.
Yeah, it's that video is there as well. But yeah, so like I just wanted to say that these tapeworms, hello, these tapeworms, they can really cause infection, like to the extent that it can damage the complete tissue.
So are they
And
formed?
because they are parasitic, so they will take out lot of nutrition from the cells. So ultimately the cells, they don't get much nutrition, so obviously cells die, tissues will die, and they will make it that particular organ completely dysfunctional.
They can rupture the intestine also.
Depends.
So how are they
How are they?
formed?
They are existing in the nature.
So,
They're already inside.
Yeah, if we are not hygienic enough, that's when we catch this kind of infection.
free living is matlab it doesn't need anything. It has chlorophyll and then make it so.
No, free living doesn't mean autotrophic.
Then,
These are all heterotrophic. Free living means they find their own food.
oh, and then what is parasite? It's the same, right?
No,
Parasitic is like it's inside.
Vishwa, you really need to pay attention in the class. You are just focusing on the notes. What is parasitic? Say, think of.
I thought it was that.
What is
feeds on
parasitic?
nutrition, something that they talk about.
And what is saprophytic?
It doesn't.
No.
Eats feeds on this, no, sir?
This, no, sir, no.
This is
Not on, sir.
So humans.
Dead
so
stuff.
That stuff, what stuff?
Dead.
Dead stuff. Yeah, correct.
So technically, we are also saprophytic because if we are.
You can be saprophytic. We are not. You live on dead organisms and stuff. You can eat.
We actually eat.
I don't.
biryani, okay.
So,
Uh,
Even the plants are.
Okay. Do you have any genuine questions I must ask?
So, which one of them is the planaria? This also like very microscopic.
You can see, even if this looks so bigger, tapeworm, when I showed you the picture of the eye in context of eye, you can figure out what is the size.
Yeah.
And it is very smaller at the start. It keeps on growing. Hello, hello. That I don't know.
I thought earthworm like
Earthworms are a different category.
Yeah, I thought tapeworms and earthworms had
No.
the same size.
That's why I'm saying this is a specific category of the flatworms,
Okay.
right? That is platyhelminthes.
Sir, is the green thing in the workflow?
Yeah. So again, let me show you that. I hope you people on the other side,
This
if
is a
you have
tapeworm
any
idea.
question, please do ask. No, not in this school, but
So how do you get tapeworms?
sorry.
How do you get tapeworms?
When the eggs go in your nails.
School. Sorry, Ishan. No, who is you or Ishan?
No, like Ishan asked a question, I was answering.
But so they are not everywhere, right? In the soil.
No. But they can be present. You know, it depends on like how they have been spreading, where they have more
The
nutrition.
eggs can get stuck in
Yeah.
the nails.
Usually these like let's say you go and work in the farm and that farm has these eggs or
So these eggs will die after some time, right? If left like that only.
not really.
But they fly,
are
right?
usually
They
kind
can-
of spore forming organisms.
So they will, even in their egg form, they will stay for.
Yeah, stay for quite long.
So can the eggs fly in air, like with the air?
Sorry, can we
Can the eggs fly in air, like
not fly, but they can be carried by the wind.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the typical examples of the liver
Sir, I have one question.
which is like a transparent jelly-like
Sir,
body.
like when you let's say drink water or you eat something, why don't the tapeworms just flow with the water? or something?
Yeah.
How do they latch
Well,
on?
they are attached to the surface, no?
Yeah, how do they do that?
They have chemicals,
So
and when they suck the nutrition, they grow within the cells, within the tissue.
Okay, so
They don't grow on the
they
surface.
become part of the.
No, they don't become part, but they grow within the.
So they are inside the surface.
They are inside the.
They are
All
tissues.
Yeah. Means they grow within the tissues. Someone had raised hand again.
De-infestation tablets we take.
Ishan,
Yeah, it's for hookworms, right? Not tapeworms.
is he trying to speak something? I can't hear you.
Okay, is it fine now?
Yeah.
So the de-infestation tablets we take,
Huh?
those are for tapeworms. They won't affect the tapeworms, no? Or do they?
I'm not sure of which tablet are you talking about.
The pink one.
Yeah.
Or the one they give in school.
No, I guess these. Again, I'm not sure what exactly is the content.
Is it the one that gives?
Oh, do you know the name or something of that?
So just like
Tastes like strawberry.
Yeah, deworming tablets.
Not
No,
DE.
not tablet, it's just
DE.
syrup.
Not DE.
Human. Medicines.
That is.
Syrup. Babies.
Tab. No, this one, the tablet. Or maybe they are the same, just in a different form.
They make the
Follow.
It's a
worms
different
very-
one. नीचे जाओ sir, नीचे जाओ. ये नहीं है.
Are Amma, there can be different brands. Fabentel.
Sir, dogs के लिए भी है.
It's for a dog. Sir.
Are fine, but we need to look at the content, not just the picture.
So if you get tapeworms, what do you do?
Sorry?
So if you get tapeworms, what do you do?
Oh, what is it? Huh? Yeah, just throw it out, go.
Don't touch it.
It's not a platform.
Hello? Arman, go and throw it out.
Sir, is Harry Gogo, sir, is Harry Gogo platyhelminthes?
What is Haribo?
It's like a worm was hair.
No. No. Okay, enough.
The one question.
Leave him.
The one question.
Huh?
This shows the back part and ventral, right?
Is the front part. Someone had asked question. I
Yeah,
missed
sir.
it.
So if you get tapeworms, is there any cure?
Yeah, of course there is cure. If it is, excuse me, you will not speak unnecessarily, please. It's actually very disturbing. Yeah, so first thing is obviously deworming when they are at the so usually one treatment that I know of when these worms are causing infection within the surfaces is creating the irritation of the inner cavities so that these worms they get flushed through the body. That is one. And when they are grown bigger, then the only option that is left is to do a surgery. So these are the two techniques that I know of.
Even in surgery, sir, I've seen that they put a pipe and there's this small
Huh.
camera.
But if they.
Yeah, it's called endoscope.
Yeah,
But
they
if-
can see like in like there's a hook also. But
So, but if they're so small, then that how can you take them out of surgery?
What?
Even if they are, if you do a surgery, they're very small around.
there's a camera thing.
I know they're very small, but how can you take them out?
If they are smaller,
No, like these things are very small, right?
they are not that small as well.
Big
I
size.
said when they are small, then you deworm it. When they are growing big, you do surgery.
So how do we see them? But how big can they
When
get?
we see-
Irritation of the chemicals.
How big can they get, sir?
Huh?
How so?
How as in you have to take the medicine, it will cause layer, like what we call as inflammation of the inner cavities, and that way they get flushed out.
So it hurts.
No, it doesn't hurt.
So how
This
big can they
chemical,
get?
there are different chemicals called as mild inflammatory substances.
Sir, how big can they get? Like,
How?
How big can they get? Like,
It depends how much it has eaten. Can go up to few centimeters.
Sir,
Huh?
sir, how do you know if you have them inside of you?
You won't know until and unless it causes some symptom. Like for example, if it is in intestine, then the pain within the abdominal cavity, that is one sign. And for eyesight, like I said, you will see them either visibly, or if not, you will have a blurred vision kind of symptom. So until and unless you have symptoms, you will not blurred.
So have you ever done operation?
No. Okay, enough of platyhelminthes. I hope you understood this whole category. What you need to remember here is all the flatworms, they are within this category. They are triploblastic, they have dorsiventral flat body, and they have bilateral symmetry. And the examples is the tapeworm, planaria, liver flukes, and so on. Next category is the phylum Nematoda. Now, these are called nematoda specifically because of their characteristics of the round worms. So, they are round in shape. So, within the whole of this worm category, there are three segments. One was what we had seen in terms of platyhelminthes, nematoda, and the third one is annelida, which we'll see the next one.
So,
So-
sir, with the tapeworm, even the tapeworm looks like a round.
How do you see in 2 dimension?
It was
Sir, it
rectangular.
was shown, no. No black.
That's when I said this picture is not actually how does it look like. That's when I showed you the original picture. Yeah, so nematodes, they have cylindrical body. Earlier case, we have flat body, the flatworms. Roundworms, they have cylindrical body. Again, bilateral symmetrical body and triploblastic. So same characteristic, except the cylindrical body and the platyhelminthes had a flat body. Now these nematodes, they have a pseudocoelom, not a true internal cavity, but a false body cavity. False body cavity is that means it's not sufficiently grown and it can occupy the space by the tissue. So that is what is pseudo means, kind of not true or a false body cavity. Mostly parasitic, and they can cause various diseases including ascariasis and elephantiasis.
So
Hmm.
elephantiasis is when your legs swell up, right?
No, that's elephant foot, but that can be something similar.
What happens in these diseases?
Swelling, inflammation, infection it is.
When you see it?
No, no. So these are the different one. This one is the very commonly found one, ascaris, or it is also called as ascariasis. And if you look closely at the picture, you can see a kind of internal cavity here. Also at the what we say, the head portion, you can see certain organs. Also internally they have different organs. So let me show you one more picture of this. So ascaris, ascaris. What was the category? Nematoda. So if you look at this, you know, this looks like that dove ka just roll bana ke rakh diya hai, but
Looks like a pretzel.
you want to eat?
You're in Germany.
It's chocolate kind.
So it's pretzels, Dankeschön.
These ones, like you can see certain internal structures as well. Ascaris diagram. So, for example, this one, no, this one, yeah. Ascaris complete, yeah. So you can see actually there are quite a few internal structures present within them, and like pharynx, esophagus, nerve cells, most of the characteristic, but just not in the form that we have in terms of human. They are developed to the to some extent. Otherwise, they have most of the organs similar to the higher eukaryotic organisms.
So this is female, right?
I'm not too sure. They can be hermaphrodite, by the way. That
What
means
is that?
both
Oh,
sexes.
yeah.
But here they show male and female separate, so I would assume they are dimorphic. That means the male and female, they are separate. Okay, so that is this category of nematodes. Then the next one is the Annelida. Annelida is again a kind of roundworm, but the special characteristic of this Annelida is the segmented body or ringed worms. So if you have ever looked at the earthworm, you can see actually ring-like structures, right? That is an indication of this Annelida category. Any organism which has a totally separate or segmented body or ringed type of structures, these are from the category of Annelida. So they have segmented cylindrical body. The body is differentiated into head and tail. That is the front and back part. Bilaterally symmetrical, again the same characteristic. Triploblastic, developed from 3 germ layers. They have a true body cavity, that is true coelom. Earlier, no, like platyhelminthes had no cavity. Then what was that? Nematoda had the pseudo cavity or false cavity, and the Annelida category, because they have segmented body, they have the true body cavity, that is the coelom, COELOM. Habitat is mostly marine or freshwater or close to these water bodies, and also some of these species they survive on the terrestrial land. Example, earthworm and leech, and then there is this characteristic creature called as Nereis. So this is something like this. There are quite a few other organisms actually. Annelida examples. Yeah, again, all these creatures, like we may not know them by names. Leech for sure, I assume everyone would know. That is from the same category. I don't know if there are, yeah, yeah, these are all different examples of Annelida category, right? So even like for example, that millipede and centipede, they look like this, but they are not from this category. They go to the other separate category, which we'll talk later. But like these organisms, they do look like that millipede or centipede. So these are Annelida category. Then the next one is the arthropoda. Arthropoda is called so. Arthro refers to joints, and poda or pods. What is it referring to? It refers to the limbs, right? Limb, Limb. That is either leg or hands. But obviously, these creatures they don't have hands or legs. We call them limbs. So that way, they have arthropoda, so they have jointed legs. So the limbs they are kind of originating from one place.
Even a cockroach is a limb, right?
Cockroach is a
Limb,
what is limb?
like the one-
Cockroach has a limb, you mean?
So can you show example from the
Earthworm, leech. So this arthropoda, like I said, they have jointed appendages and they belong to this phylum. And this is one of the largest phylum in the whole animal kingdom, because obviously, if you look at the number of species that it includes, is quite a lot.
Is the largest or is one of the
Largest,
largest?
because of the number of species that it has. And it's not the number of organisms, yeah, it's just number of species, and of course then because of that the number of organisms within that phylum also is relatively quite a lot. So they are bilaterally symmetrical. Again, they can be distributed into two halves, have jointed appendages, exoskeleton, which can be relatively hard. Like for example, crab or scorpion that you would know of, they have hard shell, or even cockroach for that matter, exoskeleton. Yeah, so all of those like organisms, they have exoskeleton and they have segmented body, very well segmented body. For example, cockroach you would know is clearly divided into, or like these bees, right? They have very segmented bodies, limbs. They have an open circulatory system. Like humans or higher vertebrate, we have closed circulatory system. The blood flows through the blood vessels and through the heart again and again. In these organisms, the blood flows through the open body cavities, and that is what is open circulatory system. And they do not have obviously the differentiated blood vessels. Example, spider, butterflies, mosquitoes, and so on. So all these examples, they are actually from the phylum Arthropoda. Any question, anyone? I hope you all are following this. So if you remember the characteristic sequences, it will be easier to remember all of this. Okay. Why? Then you can jot down later. Phylum Mollusca. Now this is one of the phylum from the kingdom Animalia, The characteristic includes again bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic organism. They have less segmented body, but very well developed organ and organ system. Compared to the earlier category, these organisms, they have very well developed organ system in terms of their whatever internal organs present. Typically open circulatory system, limbs are present, and so the main feature of the mollusk is being that they are soft tissue, like how snails or octopus and all these, or clam is for example, they will have also have a kind of exoskeleton in the form of a very hard structure like a scallop and oyster and clam that you would have heard of at least. So they have these are usually made up of calcium like material, and then they keep on forming that exoskeleton, and within that exoskeleton they live, like these organisms they live inside. Okay. So that is the phylum Mollusca. So all of these organism, slug or squid, winkle, octopus, of course you would know of these few, that they are from the phylum Mollusca.
So what was typically open circulatory system?
Huh?
What is typically open circulatory?
What is open circulatory system? Huh? Open circulatory system means they don't have blood vessels. The blood flows through open body cavities. Okay, then I guess the second last, I suppose, second last, that is the phylum Echinodermata. Now, this is a category where it is specialized in terms of spiny skinned animals. That's what this echino means, a kind of spiky or hedgehog, and derma means skin. So spiny skinned animals. And the characteristic, sorry, it has spiny does not literally mean
So is that
spines.
a sea cucumber?
It means hedgehog.
So is that a sea cucumber?
It is. So these the characteristic of the Echinodermata,
Are all of them in water only?
most of them. What was I saying? So yeah, the main characteristic which is different from the other phylum and that of the Echinodermata is the radial symmetry. That means along the radius of a circle, they can be segregated into equal halves, but not the bilateral symmetry. They have a true coelom, that is again a true internal body cavity. They are also triploblastic. They have hard calcium carbonate skeleton structure, which is what makes the kind of spine or spike-like structure outside the body. These are free-living marine organisms or animals. Example is sea urchin, which is present at the center. Starfish, again everyone knows. Sea cucumber is again this last picture. So these are the examples of Echinodermata, which are spiny skin animal.
Does the term echino derive from echidnas?
I don't know what is echidnas.
But I think they're like hedgehogs. I think they're like.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Anyone? Any question?
No.
So calcium carbonate.
Yeah, the exoskeleton or the spiky thing is usually made up of that calcium carbonate.
Is it chalk calcium?
Yeah, it is.
So they are like animals outside water or all of them marine?
All of them are marine.
What is radial symmetry means? It's like a circle, right?
Okay, then the last phylum and also one of the most interesting to the human being is the phylum Chordata. Now, Chordata phylum is named after the presence of notochord. Notochord is one of the structure present in the earlier stages of the development of the animal or organism. So during after the germ layer formation, like I said, zygote, which is one cell, will go on dividing. It will form a mass of cell, will arrange itself into 3 layers, and these 3 layers, they kind of fold, make what we call as notochord. So let me show you the neural tube structure. Neural tube, which is also something similar. Yeah, something like this, but again this might be little complicated. Yeah, this is the best one. You can see there are 3 different layers. Now here they have shown 2 only, but you can assume the outer one is one, middle one, and this is third one. They kind of make this tubular structure later. That is what gives rise to the backbone. Now this is a kind of section. Like if I break through the vertebral column, it is actually going elongated tube, and I'm looking at the middle section of it. So that is something like this neural plate. No, of course the inside is hollow, no backbone. So that one is called as notochord or neural tube. Notochord. Yeah, so these ones, like you can see, even in these organism, they have a backbone which is developed from the notochord. So that is the notochord structure, and all those organisms, those who have notochord, they fall into the category of chordata. Rest all the organisms that we have seen so far, they do not have any backbone, they do not have any vertebral column, and so on. They might have bony structures, but that is totally different from what is there in the chordata category. So I will come to that. Yeah. So these chordata, they are bilaterally symmetrical, again triploblastic, with organ system level of classification. That means they are highly complex in terms of development of their organ system.
Can we just write that in the simple words?
Yeah. They possess a notochord, which literally converts into the backbone, and a nerve cord or the spinal cord later. The circulatory system is closed type. Again, all the earlier ones, they had mostly open type of circulation. This chordata has the closed type of circulation. Within this vertebrate category, there are these 5 main classes. What we know as Pisces, which is fish; Amphibia means amphibians; reptiles; Aves means birds; and Mammalia means all the mammals. So these are the 5 main categories, and I am not going to go into details of these because you know the characteristics of these 5 categories. You know what fish are, how do they breathe, what kind of exoskeleton they have, what is the backbone, and so on. So birds, right? So I, like I said, I'm not going to discuss about these 5 category, but you will have to know the distinctive features of each of these category, like individually, along with the examples. Pisces, fish ka example, you can write anything. Amphibia, frog, and so on, you have so many example. Reptilia, again many example. Birds for sure many, and mammals also, including human, there are several examples. So you can write characteristics as well as the examples on your own. That part I'm not going to take it in the class. The last slide, which is not within the syllabus, that's why I have labeled it as extra. But I thought it is very, very important for us to know the whole of the classification within the vertebrate category. So the whole of the animal kingdom can also be simply classified into 2 classes: vertebrate and invertebrate. Invertebrate without vertebral column, and the vertebrate with vertebral column. So that's the simplest division, and within that also there are 2 subcategories, what we call as agnatha and gnathostomata. So agnatha is just a simple cyclostomata type of organism. These are primitive vertebrates which are large jawless sucking mouth. So they don't have very well developed jaws. That was the most primitive species within the vertebrate category, and most of them, they were marine animal, that is aquatic animals. And Gnathostomata, these are jawed vertebrates. That means they have very well developed jaw structure. And then there are again this subcategory. So that you can do it on your own. Within the fish category specifically, there are jawed fish and what we call as where is it? Chondric thighs, which are jawed fish, and the second one, where is it? Yeah, bony fish, ostrich thighs. These are the bony. So these are like cartilaginous fishes, and these are the bony fishes. Again, cartilaginous fish includes your sharks and so on, right? And bony fishes, whatever the edible fish are there, they are mostly bony fish. So these are the different like additional information present. Again, the same classes here as well. Tetrapoda means 4-limbed organism. Those who have 4 limbs, can be 4 legs or 2 legs and 2 hands, or 2 legs and 2 wings and so on, or 2 legs, 4 what we call fins. So there are different such tetrapoda. So that's all about this whole chapter. If anyone has any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we are done with this for lifetime.
Okay, sir.
Right?